If you love your 38 fork, but aren't always happy with the weight of it, Fox has a new solution for you that's gonna blow your mind. So at first glance, this new Fox 36 may look pretty similar to its predecessor, but that's really where the similarities end. You will notice it does have the same dampers that Fox released last year, including the Grip X2, the Grip X, but other than that, completely redesigned from the lowers to the crowns and everything in between. So this new 36 SL is designed to essentially replace the 34 fork that Fox previously offered. The 36 SL will come in 120 millimeters to 140 millimeters, and the regular 36 will come in 140 millimeters to 160 millimeters of travel. Now, going one step beyond that even, Fox is releasing a new 34 fork that is designed to replace the 34 step cast. So this new fork uses the full length of the lowers, there's no step cast design. And once again, like the other forks, same engineering process to create the most optimized lower and crown possible, while also giving the fork 10 mils more of travel. Basically, a main theme at Fox was that riders are going harder and harder on smaller and smaller bikes. So they want to make the best suspension possible so that even if people are on smaller travel bikes, they can push just as confidently as they are when they're riding their bigger bikes. So one of the first things I noticed about this fork is just how well it handles for being a 36 millimeter fork. I usually run a Zeb on my bike. I've ridden Fox 38s before. And right away I noticed this fork really felt just as confident and just as, torsionally stiff as those other forks in this smaller package. A lot of that has to do with the design of the crown and the lower. And I'm not the only person that felt this way. Neko Mulally had a very similar first experience with it. So let's see what he had to say.
I didn't ride the old 36 a lot. I was mostly riding bikes with like 170 travel.
Yeah.
So I was more in the 38, and I thought previously that the 38 was a much better fork than the 36.
Yeah.
And much, I mean, small differences are a lot to me.
Yeah.
So I was definitely preferring the 38 previously, and with the new 36, I'd say it's maybe a little better performance suspension-wise than the 38 is.
Okay.
And the only limiting factor is that it's a 160 fork.
Yeah.
So the axle to crown was only 7 mil different, so it didn't change the geometry of my bike hugely.
Yeah.
Like we could ride it.
Yeah.
Lowers the BB, steepens it up a little bit.
Yeah.
If the new 36 was 170, then it'd be perfect. But I've been riding it anyway, and I really like the fork.
So one of my favorite parts about this fork is actually the way it was designed. Both the upper crown and the lower fork arch were actually designed using a program that basically took a bunch of parameters and created essentially a 3D model of the best possible option from a strength to weight ratio. And then the engineers took that information and turned it into a manufacturable unit. To go deeper into this process, let's take it over to Ariel, their senior design engineer.
It's called generative design, and you said it really well. We put in a bunch of parameters we want, to put values on stiffness. We want it in this plane, and we want to make it, strong in this plane. We want to make it light as we can for a given strength characteristic and stiffness characteristic. And anywhere where we can use it, we're trying to use it. Even if it spits out something we're like, that's not that useful, maybe we can't use it here, but or we didn't get any gains out of doing it. We've analyzed things and been like, well, where we're at's good. We'll just keep it that way. But it's something that's helped us make some pretty good leaps and gains. So it's worth doing.
Yeah, very cool. So what else is new on this fork? To start with, the air spring. What they have called it is a compliant air spring, which is much easier to understand with a visual. So we'll show you that in the video, but we're also gonna talk to Ariel again about how this design came to be and why they chose this for this new fork.
There's always like some bending going on in anything, a frame and a bike. As you're loading things, there's movement, right?
Yeah.
It's not as rigid as you may think it is. You know, we found through studying that as we get some of these loads coming into the fork, you're starting to kind of bind up the air spring assembly a little bit, and that actually makes it harder for the fork to move, right? Which is what we want the fork to do, be able to move freely when it's supposed to. And so we made the air spring be able to be compliant, so the shaft that drives the air piston now isn't constrained and so can kind of move independently of the rest of the chassis of the fork. And in doing so, we found that the fork felt like it rode a ton smoother. It just felt more frictionless, more bottomless, like everything just felt like it was doing what it was supposed to be doing more. And it's noticeable when you ride the forks. It's pretty impressive. But that's the whole idea of the compliant air spring.
So one cool little thing they added this year to the fork is if you unscrew this air cap, there's actually a Shimano cassette inset there, which allows you to unscrew that top side air cap very easily. In the past, they had a 32 mil socket, which was easily stripped if not using the right socket. So small little upgrade that I think really helps the overall just vibe of the fork. Another cool thing they did is they still have an integrated fender, but they redesigned it so it now uses 4 bolts instead of 2 and doesn't lock into the bleeder port as the previous generation. I had a couple friends that kind of cracked part of their fender because of that bleeder port interface, so it's cool to see them move away from that and just have it go straight into the arch. So again, with Fox's new line of forks, they're really chasing this mentality of riders are sending it harder than ever before on bikes that are smaller than ever before. So essentially, shorter travel bikes with modern geometry are far more capable than they have been in the past. And Fox wants to create suspension products that allow those riders to push those bikes to their optimal potential. And I think they've truly have done that with their new line of forks here. So if you like this new video where we went over some of the new products from Fox or 26, check out the rest of our channel. We're always uploading new videos with the newest tech and products in the bike space. Hopefully you enjoy this content, and we'll see you out there on the trails. Keep pedaling.